Yeah, I want to say a few words about sacred space and synchronicity, and then you can tell them exactly kind of how we came together in
Yes.
a synchronous, sacred way, right? I
Yes.
think the word space is used so often and it's, I think, misused sometimes, right?
Mm.
I think space and I love that you call this sacred space, right? In other words, what that means is you can be vulnerable and you can
Yes.
be yourself and it's comfortable. Even if you're uncomfortable, it's a comfortable space, right?
Yep.
I also love Wayne Dyer. I have a few of his books over here who talks
Me
about
too.
the gap, which is the same thing as space. So I talk a lot about the gap and I refer to it the way Wayne Dyer does, which is the gap between a thought and an emotion. But I love the concept of the space, the gap between your thought and emotion. I also love it in meditation, right? What we're talking about is space and clean space, if you will. So when you say sacred space, so much gets conjured up for me. All of it, however, is about awareness.
Awareness.
All
Yes.
of it's awareness, because if you're not aware you're having thoughts, you don't have a gap.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a space if you're not aware. And the last thing I want to say about that one word
Well,
is
of course. Of
all
course.
of the mindfulness literature talks about if we can be the watcher of our thoughts and if we can be the watcher of our existence, then we have the key to something. Okay, that's my opening.
I love it. I love it. Right there. The wisdom coming through.
It's
Yes.
always about great. Think about the space, figure out the difference between flow state and thought. But then how do I do that in my everyday life when my mother calls me and she takes me out of my zone, right?
Yes.
So I'm really big on those tools to do what we are actually talking about now. And what we're really saying is, how do you create a sacred space every day for yourself?
For yourself every day. And it's what
And,
people want. I know it.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of oozes out to your family, and then your house becomes a sacred space, right? So that's kind of really the goal. All right, you tell them how we met.